In the early 2010s, a strange and somewhat unsettling beauty trend began making waves across the internet. It looked bizarre, almost alien. People with swollen, ring-shaped foreheads, resembling bagels pressed into their skin. Some called it art, others called it madness. But soon, the world began talking about what became known as the Battle of the Bagel Heads. It all started around 2012, when a Japanese subculture trend suddenly exploded online. Photos began circulating of young men and women sitting calmly as medical saline solution was injected into their foreheads. Over the next few hours, their skin would swell outward, forming a round bump. Then, with a gentle press of a thumb, a dip was made in the center, creating a perfect soft bagel-like ring. TV shows, tabloids, and internet bloggers rushed to cover the story. The Western media called it Japan's strangest beauty fad. But in Japan, it wasn't seen as beauty, it was seen as expression. To understand this phenomenon, we have to step into the fascinating world of body modification. In Japan, modifying the body is not new. Tattoos, piercings, scarification, all have existed in subcultures seeking to push against conformity. Bagel heading was just the latest, most extreme form of saying, I control my body. I decide how I appear. The process was popularized in Tokyo's underground scene, particularly by a Canadian artist named Geek Jeremy Tokuyama, who had lived in Japan and introduced the technique to body mod enthusiasts. Using medical saline, he and other practitioners performed the procedure in controlled environments, under sterile conditions. It wasn't dangerous, but it looked shocking. So how does it work? Saline, basically sterile salt water, is injected between the layers of skin on the forehead. The body doesn't reject it because it's natural to our system. Within a few hours, the liquid is absorbed and the swelling disappears. That means it's temporary, lasting around 16 to 24 hours. No cutting, no implants, no surgery, just temporary transformation, a living sculpture. But why do it? That's where the battle begins. For many, it wasn't about fashion or attention. It was a quiet rebellion against a society obsessed with uniformity. In Japan, where schools, companies, and culture often expect conformity, these body artists were saying, I don't belong to your mold. The bagel head became a symbol of individual freedom, of artistic defiance, and even of your spiritual experimentation. To them, it was about exploring the limits of beauty, pain, and human expression, but to the outside world, it was grotesque, shocking, and weird Japan, and a label that often oversimplifies deep subcultures. The year 2012 saw an explosion of coverage. Documentaries like Taboo on National Geographic featured bagel head sessions in dramatic, slow-motion detail. The public reacted with awe, disgust, and fascination. News anchors debated if this was the end of beauty or a new art form. Western critics called it dangerous, dehumanizing, and insane. But Japanese artists fired back, calling Western beauty standards equally absurd. Botox, fillers, liposuction, how are those any different? The real battle wasn't between people with bagel heads. It was a battle of perception. Soon, images of bagel heads became memes, reaction posts, and viral content. People from all over the world started debating online, is this art or madness? Would you ever try this? Influencers mocked it. Others praised it as avant-garde. It was the perfect storm. Controversy, culture clash, and internet curiosity all rolled into one. But just as quickly as it rose, it disappeared. By 2014, bagel heading had almost vanished from public view. Why? Because even within Japan, it was never mainstream. It was part of a niche subculture that had always lived underground. For those who practiced it, the media hype turned something sacred into something sensational, and so, quietly, the bagel heads retreated, leaving behind viral photos, old documentaries, and one unforgettable internet legend. Today, when you hear about the Battle of the Bagel Heads, you're really hearing about a moment in time when the world confronted its own definition of beauty. For some, beauty means perfection, symmetry, smoothness, control. For others, beauty means transformation, being whoever you want to be, even if it shocks the world. In the end, The bagel head wasn't a fad, it was a question. How far will humans go to express themselves? And at what point does art become absurdity? Interestingly, body modification hasn't disappeared. It's evolved. From tongue splitting to subdermal implants, to digital filters that reshape our faces daily, the human urge to modify how we appear is stronger than ever. The bagel heads may have faded away, but the battle continues, now online through filters, surgeries, and the endless quest for identity. The battle of the bagel heads was never really about bagels. It was about us, about how we view beauty, freedom, and self-expression. It forced the world to look and question, and perhaps in that confrontation lies the real art.